Imagine buying a computer in the late 1990s. No matter which brand you chose, Dell, HP, IBM, or Compaq, there was one logo you almost always saw before you even turned the machine on: Intel inside. It wasn't just a marketing slogan, it was a guarantee. For more than 2 decades, Intel wasn't simply one of the world's largest semiconductor companies. It was the company that powered the personal computer revolution at its peak. Intel controlled over 80% of the global PC processor market. Every new generation of processors was faster, smaller, and more powerful than the last. Consumers trusted Intel. Businesses depended on Intel. Investors believed Intel was unstoppable. Then something changed. Apple abandoned Intel. AMD came back from the brink of collapse. NVIDIA became the face of artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, Intel struggled with manufacturing delays, failed product launches, executive shakeups, and billions of dollars in lost market value. The company that once defined the future of computing suddenly found itself trying to catch up. So how did the king of chips lose its crown? The answer begins long before Intel became a household name. Intel was founded in 1968 by Gordon Moore and Robert Noyce, 2 pioneers of the semiconductor industry. Their goal was simple but ambitious: build better computer memory chips. In the early years, Intel focused on DRAM memory, one of the fastest growing markets in electronics. Business was booming, but competition from Japanese manufacturers quickly intensified. Lower production costs and aggressive pricing squeezed Intel's profits. Instead of fighting a losing battle, Intel made one of the most important strategic decisions in corporate history. It walked away from the memory business. The company shifted its attention to microprocessors. That decision changed everything. In 1971, Intel introduced the 4004, the world's first commercially available microprocessor. Although primitive by today's standards, it proved that an entire computer processor could fit on a single chip. It wasn't immediately obvious that this invention would reshape the world. But over the next decade, Intel continued improving its processor designs. Then came the IBM personal computer. When IBM launched its PC in 1981, it selected Intel's 8088 processor as its brain. That partnership transformed Intel overnight. As IBM-compatible computers spread across the globe, Intel processors became the industry standard. Soon afterward, Microsoft Windows became the dominant operating system together. Microsoft and Intel formed what became known as the Wintel Alliance. Microsoft supplied the software. Intel supplied the hardware. Every new version of Windows demanded more processing power. Every faster Intel chip encouraged consumers to upgrade their computers. The cycle repeated year after year. It became one of the greatest business partnerships in technology history. Throughout the 1990s, Intel expanded at an incredible pace. Its famous Pentium processors became symbols of performance. The company invested billions into manufacturing plants, capable of producing smaller and faster chips than anyone else. Unlike many competitors, Intel designed and manufactured its own processors. That vertical integration gave it enormous control over quality, production speed, and innovation. Meanwhile, its marketing campaign became legendary. Intel spent hundreds of millions of dollars promoting the Intel Inside UI9 logo, encouraging computer manufacturers to place Intel stickers directly on their products. Consumers began asking for Intel by name, even if they knew very little about computer hardware. For many buyers, Intel simply meant quality. By the early 2000s, Intel looked almost invincible. Its profits soared. Its factories expanded across multiple continents. Its engineers pushed Moore's Law forward year after year. Few companies in history had ever enjoyed such complete dominance. But success often creates its own blind spots. While Intel was perfecting processors for desktop and laptop computers, another shift was quietly beginning. The future of computing wasn't going to stay on desks forever. It was about to move into people's pockets. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. Smartphones quickly evolved from luxury gadgets into everyday necessities. Billions of people around the world began spending more time on mobile devices than traditional PCs. This should have been Intel's next great opportunity. Instead, it became one of the company's biggest missed chances. Intel continued focusing on powerful processors designed for maximum performance. But smartphones required something different. Battery life mattered more than raw speed. Efficiency became more important than horsepower. Companies using ARM-based chip designs built processors that consumed far less power. Apple, Qualcomm, Samsung, and many others embraced this approach. Intel tried to enter the smartphone market several times, but its chips consumed too much power, arrived too late, and failed to attract major manufacturers. By the time Intel realized how significant mobile computing would become, the market had already chosen another path. The biggest technology shift in decades had happened without Intel leading it. And unfortunately for Intel, even bigger problems were just around the corner. Around the same time, Intel was missing the mobile revolution. Another problem was quietly growing inside the company itself. For decades, Intel had been the undisputed leader in semiconductor manufacturing. Its engineers consistently delivered smaller, faster, and more efficient chips ahead of every competitor. The company followed Moore's law almost like clockwork, shrinking transistors every 2 years. That reputation began to crack in the mid-2010s. Intel's transition from its successful 14-nanometer process to 10 nanometers became one of the biggest engineering setbacks in the company's history. The delays lasted far longer than anyone expected. Years passed with repeated promises that the next generation was just around the corner. Instead, Intel continued releasing refreshed versions of older chips while competitors rapidly moved ahead. This manufacturing crisis gave rivals an opportunity they had never enjoyed before. AMD, once considered an underdog struggling to survive, seized the moment. Under CEO Lisa Suss, AMD completely redesigned its processor strategy. Instead of relying on its own factories, AMD partnered with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, better known as TSMC. TSMC's cutting-edge manufacturing allowed AMD to produce processors that were smaller, more power efficient, and often faster than Intel's offerings. When AMD launched its Ryzen processors, reviewers were shocked. For the first time in years, Intel was no longer the obvious choice. Gamers switched, content creators switched. Even enterprise customers began reconsidering Intel. Market share that had taken decades to build slowly started slipping away. Then came another devastating blow. In 2020, Apple announced it would stop using Intel processors in Mac computers. Instead, Apple introduced its own custom-designed chips built on ARM architecture. Many analysts were skeptical. Designing world-class processors is incredibly difficult, and Intel had decades of experience. But Apple's first M1 chip exceeded almost every expectation. It delivered outstanding performance while consuming far less power than comparable Intel processors. Battery life improved dramatically, heat and fan noise were reduced. Software optimization became even tighter because Apple controlled both the hardware and the operating system. The move sent a powerful message across the technology industry. If Apple no longer needed Intel, who else might leave? Meanwhile, artificial intelligence was beginning to reshape the semiconductor business. This time, Intel wasn't just late, it was largely absent. Instead of CPUs, AI workloads required enormous amounts of parallel computing power provided by graphics processors. That played directly into NVIDIA's strengths. Originally known for gaming graphics cards, NVIDIA transformed itself into the backbone of the AI revolution. Its GPUs became essential for training large language models, autonomous driving systems, scientific research, and cloud computing. As AI spending exploded, NVIDIA's value soared. Intel watched from the sidelines. While Intel attempted to develop AI accelerators and compete in data centers, it struggled to match NVIDIA's software ecosystem, developer support, and hardware performance. Another technology revolution had arrived. Once again, Intel wasn't leading it. The financial consequences became impossible to ignore. Revenue declined. Profit margins shrank. Thousands of employees were laid off as Intel tried to reduce costs. The company's stock significantly underperformed many of its biggest competitors. Investors who once viewed Intel as one of the safest technology companies began questioning its future. Leadership instability only added to the uncertainty. Several CEOs came and went, each promising a turnaround. In 2021, Intel brought back Pat Gelsinger, a veteran engineer who had spent decades at the company before leaving. His mission was clear: restore Intel's engineering culture, rebuild manufacturing leadership, and make Intel competitive again. The company announced one of the most ambitious investment plans in its history. Billions of dollars would be spent building new semiconductor factories in the United States and Europe. Intel also launched its foundry business, hoping to manufacture chips for other companies, instead of only producing its own designs. The strategy was bold. If successful, Intel could eventually compete directly With TSMC in advanced chip manufacturing, governments also recognized how strategically important semiconductor production had become. The United States and several European countries introduced programs to support domestic chip manufacturing, with Intel positioned as one of the key beneficiaries. But rebuilding an industrial empire is far more difficult than losing one. Semiconductor factories take years to build. Advanced manufacturing processes require extraordinary precision. And while Intel works to recover, competitors continue moving forward. AMD keeps improving its processors. Apple continues refining Apple silicon. NVIDIA dominates the AI market. TSMC remains the world's most advanced contract chip manufacturer. The race has become far more competitive than it was 20 years ago. So, did Intel fail because its engineers suddenly forgot how to build great chips? Not exactly. The company's story is a reminder that dominance can create dangerous complacency. Intel spent decades optimizing for the world it had already conquered instead of preparing for the world that was coming next. It underestimated mobile computing. It stumbled in manufacturing. It reacted slowly to AI. And while it focused on protecting its legacy, competitors built the future. Yet writing Intel off completely would be a mistake. Few companies possess Intel's engineering talent, manufacturing experience, and global influence. If its massive investments succeed, Intel could once again become one of the world's most important semiconductor companies. Whether that comeback happens remains one of the biggest questions in technology today. History has shown that no company stays on top forever. IBM learned that lesson. Nokia learned it. BlackBerry learned it, and Intel learned it too. Because in technology, today's king can become tomorrow's underdog. And the companies that survive are rarely the ones that simply defend their past. They were the ones willing to reinvent their future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Do you think Intel can become the industry's leader again? Or has the crown already passed to a new generation of chipmakers?